Thank you, Honorable Chair, distinguished panelists, distinguished participants. I want to talk a bit more, not about use of waters, use of rivers, the economic benefits, the connectivity, the culture, the tradition, the heritage that we gain from rivers, but more about the importance of rivers and how to keep rivers alive. I have a slide presentation, so I just want to, before lunch and being the last speaker, perhaps a pictorial presentation would be more appropriate. So I'm going to be talking about how rivers connect. But rivers can also divide, as you know. But we must focus on the connectivity part and address what divides us in a way that, the rivers continue to be alive. Next slide, please. Is there a remote control? Okay, just give me an opportunity to introduce the International Center for Integrated Mountain Development. It's a regional knowledge learning and sharing center based in Kathmandu. So we focus on science. I think this morning I was listening to the very, very distinguished speakers talking about importance of rivers, but I didn't hear the word mountains, the glaciers and the glacier lakes from where the rivers are born. So we work there and we try to produce science and evidence. Next, we have 8 member countries, as you all know, stretching from Afghanistan, Pakistan, China, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, and Myanmar. So we work through all these 8 Hindu Kush Himalayan countries. Next slide. When I lift my thumb, if you could change the slide. So ISIMOT is not a university, it's not a regional, not a research center per se, it's not a development organization. We work at the interface between science, policy, and practice. So we collect evidence from different sources, secondary research information and data and so on. We collect them, analyze them, and then disseminate them across our region and also beyond. That is our role. Yeah, next slide, please. So, where do the waters in the river originate from? And that is the message I want to give it to you. This is the physical feature of the Hindu Kush Himalayas. It's known as the water towers of Asia. Because 10 of Asia's major rivers originate from there. It's known also the third pole. The third pole because it has the largest reserve of ice. 54,000 cubic kilometers of ice reserved in the, fresh water is reserved in the form of ice in the Hindu Kush Himalayan region. I need to correct that figure. 60,000 cubic kilometer. Imagine that is, huge. Without that, the origins, the sources of river would simply disappear. It's also a global asset. It's not just to the Hindu Kush Himalayas, the people living in Bhutan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and all, but for the whole, world, it is very, very important. If you look at this map, I don't know whether you can see or not, 10 of Asia's major rivers originate from this region, from the Hindu Kush, including the Ganges and the Brahmaputra, the Mekong, Irrawaddy, and Salween that I think is the subject of interest here. It provides livelihoods to 240 million people living within the mountains in the hills and valleys, but another 1.6 billion people living downstream depends on the waters from the rivers of this region. So you can imagine how important it is. Next slide, please. Just before that. Okay, good. Thank you very much. A bit late, but I can still use it. Right. Now, what is happening? Let me just go. Okay, that's okay now. Now, climate change. I heard this mentioned, but what is the impact of climate change? Even if the rest of the world managed to keep the temperature rise to below 1.5 degrees Celsius, it's going to be too hot for this region. 1/3 of our glaciers will disappear by the turn of the century. And if you don't do anything, 2/3 will disappear. Will the Brahmaputra remain the same? Will the Ganges remain the same? I don't think so. So I think this is something that we need to think about. We need to take transformative action. Very happy to hear the Honorable Chief Minister say this morning that Assam is switching over to clean, green energy in 5 years' time. So good, transformative change. Assam is going into organic agriculture. Wonderful. I hope we can manage. So these are the things, that transformational changes that are required to limit global warming below 1.5 degrees centigrade. As I told you, what happens up there affects elsewhere. Now, I've seen in the introduction, the northeast is the underbelly of the Himalayas. Now, what happens in the belly itself, or the upper belly, will affect the underbellies. So I think we need to think about that. Disasters, there would be a session tomorrow where I will be talking a bit more, because along with the benefits, the economic opportunities that rivers provide, it also destroys lives and livelihoods. And that is the part that we must be very, very mindful in the face of climate change. So I will talk about this more tomorrow, since we don't have enough time. Sorry, just want to little bit. Okay, there is commitment from the region. Our governments, the ministries concerned with climate change, came together in October 2020 to sign a ministerial declaration to commit to cooperation. There is no alternative to regional cooperation if we are to address the impacts of climate change. So we are taking this forward now to implement 6 urgent actions. And the most important urgent action is to bring people together, is to bring communities and countries together. And that is where we are at this stage. Thank you very much for this opportunity to give a... Thank you.